Hey everybody, this is a cutout conversation from our gaming discussion podcast, Frame Trap. So if you enjoy this, please check out Frame Trap every other Thursday at noon. Thank you.
Geppetto's puppet, we need your help.
I've been playing this for review. I have now finished the game. That is Lies of P.
Yo.
I have finished Lies of P. Intro. It's good.
Right.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It was cool. I was like, all right, sick. Lies of P was a good time, man.
Yeah, because like that. I mean, it's funny to laugh at, but it is kind of the fear with a lot of these games.
Yep.
So it's like you see this game from a developer that you're not so sure you know anything about, and it's kind of got like just a twist on something familiar. It's kind of this ridiculous Pinocchio. What the?
Yeah, yes.
What did you do? Pinocchio Souls?
Yeah.
And then, and then it's like, okay, does it just look really pretty, or does it hold up in the end? Yeah.
Yeah, it holds up in the end. It's a really good game. Like, with Souls, like, I never expect anyone to be at From Software's level. I just don't.
Yeah.
But I think they do a really good job.
That's good to hear. No, I'm curious. Where did you stand? Did you play? You finished the demo.
I did.
And you talked about.
Yeah.
Where were your how do you feel your thoughts were after that compared to how you finished the game? Did,
I feel better than what the demo. They changed some things, particularly the dodge. They worked on a little more to make it feel a little better.
Dodge was getting called out.
So it feels a little better this time around. But we're gonna get into that because there's like a lot of like complexities, I guess, to some of the mechanics. So we'll just start broadly, though. It is a Souls game based off Pinocchio. You play as a puppet. I don't think they actually really call you Pinocchio to the game. Maybe they do at the beginning, but like they don't refer to Pinocchio very often. And it's not as Pinocchio story as I thought it would be.
All right.
It definitely, which is interesting as the game, is it definitely finds its own identity way more so. Instead of to me, it felt like, at first glance, I felt like this game was just going to be copying in a lot of ways. And like there is clear inspirations in this game, but I definitely, as I played more, it felt like they had their own vision in some regard. So I was very happy about that. But yeah, you play as Pinocchio or P, whatever. You go through, you playing in this, it's like 18, I forgot the exact term of what it is, but it's like in France and like maybe late 1900s or something like that, or sorry, early 1900s, but kind of steampunky though. You're in this city. Puppets are going rampaging right now, just killing everyone. So you awake as this puppet. The city robots are going through killing everyone. Everyone's pretty much dead. Most of the humans are dead.
Sounds like Mega Man X.
Kind of. Well, I'm going to tell you because it sounds like Bloodborne in some ways too, in the sense that there is these puppets rampaging right now. If you want to replace puppets with beasts, you can do that. And also there is a plague kind of spreading throughout the city, which is called Krot, which I really like the atmosphere in the game. I think the atmosphere is super good in this game. I was like just absorbing it a lot of the time. Like, one thing I really like in video games that is just a weird thing is I really like paintings in video games, like on the walls and stuff, dude. You like Resident Evil game, bro? I'm scoping those all the time, dude. I'm checking those out. I'm scoping them out here all the time, too. Because it kind of has like that, it has a spooky vibe to it. You're in these cities, there's dead bodies everywhere, there's puppets trying to kill you constantly. And it's got like that kind of like, not super gothic vibe, but it's got like that 18th century kind of, like, reminds me of Victorian London, almost.
Okay.
Almost. Maybe not as quite extreme, but shades of it. But yeah, there's like cool things. There's like the circus going on, so you got like circus robots going around, stuff like that. You get to see different parts of the city. It's very From Software in the sense of like you go through parts of the world and you could see them where you've been as you like progress through the game, which is always really fun.
Nice.
You're like up high, you're like, oh yeah, that's where like I started over there. So stuff like that. But let's talk about the combat. So there's a lot to say about the combat, actually, but I'll just say basics as you got your skills, you're leveling up just like a From Software game. They're like dex, strength, but they're just called different things. At the beginning, you choose a weapon. There's like a more dex-focused one, strength, and a balanced one. I chose contrary to everything I always do, I always go strength build in these games. First time, always.
All right, so what'd you do?
I went dex this time. I don't know why.
All right.
But I picked like a rapier. And I was like, all right, cool, dude.
Sick.
It was fun, and all the weapons, they got unique move sets and stuff like that. But what's cool about the weapons is, so they're divided into two things. It's the handle of the weapon and like the blade or like blunt end. So what this does is each of these individual things has their own. If you played Dark Souls 3, you might remember like weapon arts. Elden Ring has things like this too. Each of them has their own unique one.
Okay.
So it's like a charge. You have to build up a meter to unleash this kind of thing. And some of them are cheaper. Like let's say the handle is 1 bar you need to do, but the blade is 3. So if you get the handle, if you use the handle, it'll do like a nice parry for you like that. But if you do the 3 for the blade, it'll do like a really fast dash attack. That's cool, but what's interesting about it is later on with weapons, you can combine these different parts together. So if you like this bonus you're getting from the handle, but you like the bonus you're getting from this blade, you could put them on together.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, it'll destroy the weapon though, or you can't. I guess you could put it back together, but it's like just something to keep in mind. And all the weapons have stats, so you want to keep that in mind too.
Okay.
And you can kind of like specialize certain parts of like the handle if you want to like focus more on dex instead of like strength. You can do stuff like that, but it requires materials for you to do that. So you can kind of have some freedom about what weapons you want to choose from. There's actually a lot of weapons too. I was surprised how many there was to mess around with. They're pretty cool. Like I had the rapier, then later I got like a big like curved greatsword like swung around. I got a spear that was like it looked like a broken like lamppost almost, like a sign hanging on the side.
That's cool.
It was really sick. So that was really fun. So in combat, you got your basics, light attack, heavy attack, charge attack, all that stuff. But what's interesting about this game is it has like the rally mechanic from Bloodborne. So if you don't know what that is if you get hit, you can get some health back often. But it's only for you really on your blocks. If you block something, you're going to take some damage. Your weapon will absorb it depending on the type of weapon you have. But you'll be able to get some of that damage health back. But if you perfect guard an attack, you will take no damage, and it'll also do stagger damage to enemies. We got the stagger. However, the stagger meter is invisible.
Oh.
You cannot tell. It's hard to see when it's going to pop up.
Oh.
So this game really, really focuses on aggression. Like you can play defensively in some ways, but I feel like you just have to be aggressive no matter how you play. If you play defensively, you have to be aggressive at it also. Because when you're fighting bosses, yes, you can stab them and do damage, which will eventually break their stagger if you do a lot. But if you do perfect parries, it's going to help you break it also. But it comes with the risk of if you don't get that perfect one, you're going to get hit. And if you miss it, you can just get hit completely or you'll take a lot of damage. So it was definitely a balance of me figuring out at times when to dodge and when to go for perfect parries. Because some guys, they would do crazy attacks, and I couldn't read it at first, because I'd fight a boss and just like, I don't know what's going on, so I'd just dodge everything. But then you slowly learn as you progress through that, and you're like, okay, let me try to get this move and land it. And what's great about it is the impact feels really good for you as the player. Like hitting that feels like Sekiro, that perfect, sparks fly and everything looks really nice, feels good. But it's definitely something you have to take into account. And also, when they're getting in their stagger state, when they're vulnerable for a stagger state, their health bar, you can see it, it'll flash like white, or like a white border will go around it.
Okay.
That means they're open to stagger. Now you have a limited amount of time to make them go into stagger. To do this, you have to land a charged attack. So you have to make sure you get that charge attack to then leave them vulnerable. Then you can do like a visceral attack kind of thing like that.
Okay.
So it's this progression of, I'm fighting this guy, I'm trying to damage them and also break their stagger meter. Then I got to make sure I hit the thing when their health bar's up, when they're open. Because when they're open for stagger, they could still move and attack and fight you and all that stuff. So sometimes you won't get it. There's definitely times where I was fighting bosses where I was like, I had to back up because I was going to die if I got too aggressive. So also though, with the bosses and enemies, they can also get health back when you're fighting them.
Oh.
You could stab guys.
Oh, crap.
So you can do damage to them, but they will be able to get some back.
Right.
So you have to be careful. You don't want to get hit, but like I said, perfect parrying, all that stuff helps. And if you're not aggressive on them and leave them be, their health will slowly regen over time.
Of course.
It seems really brutal, but when you're kind of in practice, actually, it's there's a slight pressure for it, but it's not it was never too much pressure where I felt like I'm waiting way too long. It was in the back of my mind, but it never felt too much, which was nice. So there's a hub in this game. It's called Hotel Cra. It's really jolly, dude. So you got human in the game. There's NPCs you can talk with also, and puppets. Not all the puppets are bad. Some of them, it's a mystery why they're going pretty nuts. It's all part of the story. But there's some you talk to. Some are vendors and stuff like that. There's some people you can talk to get more lore. There's different outfits you can get for P like that. They're not stats. The outfits are just purely costumes, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. You can get like masks and stuff like that. Also, here is P has like a prosthetic arm. Just think of Wolf's arm from Sekiro. It's very similar to that. One of the early ones you get is like a grappling one. You can shoot like a hook and like pull them towards you. But when you do it, uses a certain amount of like your currency or whatever, like your meter essentially. Okay. So you can get new arms like that. You can get one that was like one of the early ones, like electric things. So you like shoot out like a big electric pulse at them, which is really cool.
Nice.
Then later on, I got one that was like just a gun. I'd like shoot like a bullet and it would like explode on them, which was really fun. You can also upgrade those parts later on too to like increase the effectiveness of those. So like the gun one, for example, it used to take a little bit to shoot, but then later on I was able to dodge and shoot at the same time. So it just made it a little faster, or I could follow one up with it right away. At the hotel, you could also practice like on these dummies, which I actually did because enemies in the games have attacks. There are these red attacks that are undodgeable. You have to perfect block them. If you block them normally, you will take full damage. You have to perfect block them or just get completely out of the way, but you can't like iframes through it like that. So I was just kind of practicing on that, getting the feel of parry timing and all that stuff, all the windows. So it's very useful, and you could test out damage things on there and also your weapon art kind of things on there if you want to experiment. It's very friendly in that sense, which I appreciated. But yeah, going through the game, there's a lot of cool bosses in here. Just some of like the early, like one of the very early first ones is like a ringmaster. He's in the demo. Okay. He has like most of the bosses in this game have like 2 phases. Either you get halfway through their health or they have a fake health. They have one health bar, then another one comes up, which they do that too many times in the game.
Oh, okay.
Or to the sense of if it didn't happen, I was more surprised. I expected every boss to have one health bar, then another one would happen every time like that. No online play, so you got to do it yourself. However, for some bosses, you could summon a specter who is like a soul summon, you know. He will fight with you. You get some items later on that will help with that also, so you can like heal him or like buff him up.
Oh, okay, cool.
To summon them, though, you need a currency, and it's like called star something, but so you need the star thing. You do it outside the boss room, then he'll be in there. I never came close to running out, though, my whole way through. I had like 60 by the end of the game, and you could farm more later on, so if you're worried about that, don't be too worried. But yeah, I think just going through this game just gave me a really cool vibe that I was just really into. I was really feeling. The story's pretty neat, actually, just like unraveling the secrets. It's going to be a lot of Bloodborne stuff in there. You're going to be like, oh, yes. If you're familiar with Bloodborne stuff, you'll be like, oh, yes, yes. It's clear they are fans of that game, but that's a good game to be a fan of, I guess, and like base a lot of stuff on. Also, Pinocchio, there is times in the game where you will have choices to lie to someone or not.
Okay.
They will ask you some questions, and you can lie if you want to or not, and that will change some of the story. I won't get into that, but that is just a part of the game also to keep in mind.
Got it. Did you ever lie to somebody and then turn into like a fight?
I don't think so, Blood. Okay. I lied to someone one time to make them feel better about something, but I don't think I lied to someone to fight them. You fight plenty of people, though. Don't worry. There's plenty of like.
Yeah,
humans.
I was wondering if like you because somebody lied.
They
got lied
like,
to, and then they
choices,
come back later and like, you lied to me, you little punk. Beat you up.
Blood. Someone might have asked me if I was a puppet, like a human, and I said yes. Probably. Then they tried to kill me because they're like, there's this group out there trying to like kill all the puppets and all that stuff like that. Like they wear like I think they're called stalkers. They wear like animal masks. They look really cool. But yeah, some of the environment's really great. Going through the city, like these just cobbled streets, dude. It's all wet. You got like lights flickering. Then you go through it and there's like a circus tent, and like later on there's an opera house, and you're going through that. It's really awesome. Really cool boss in there. I really loved, but I don't want to spoil that because it's like later on in the game. But it's a pretty meaty game too. Like I said, it took me like 28 hours to beat.
All right.
To get through. There's multiple endings. There's New Game Plus stuff to do also. So there's a lot of value in this game. But yeah, I think it's a really good game. It like didn't blow me away. I was like, yeah, like best Souls game in a long time, but it's like really good. I was like, yeah, this is a really great game, and I'm really pleased it turned out well. Do you dudes have any questions about it?
So one thing I think you didn't like talk about. So I'm curious if it's in the game.
Yeah.
Like the exploration factor, and in so many FromSoft games, how you come across unknown variables. I went this way. I don't know if I'm going the right way. Oh crap! There's like a boss over here. Like, were there any of those types of like random encounters that you get by going off in a different direction?
I would say the progression, in the sense of like, let's say if you're comparing them as zones, the progression of going through the zones felt very linear to me.
Okay.
But within these zones, there was like some different routes to go to. You'll find some different stuff. There's shortcuts to unlock, stuff like that. There's some mini bosses out there like that, but I didn't find any huge like main side bosses just randomly. I didn't walk into some random cave and find like a major boss.
Gotcha.
But there is some mini like bosses definitely you can find in optional ones like that.
Okay. You talk about how like the weapon arts and the analogous weapon art system is in there. Were there any weapons you came across that had like a hidden property? Because it's one of like the things that is kind of appealing in some of the FromSoft games is like this weapon is like, what does this really do? And then like you like do its extended form or something like it's L2 and it's like whoa, now it's on fire.
Yeah, they're not like trick weapons. There's definitely weapons. So there's like your strength dex, and then there's like your magic stat, which pairs kind of better with some more like elemental based weapons. Like early on I got like a dagger that had like fire on it or something like that, because there are status things you can do. You can like burn people with fire like that. If you hit them enough, they'll start burning and stuff like that. Some puppets you can use electricity on and they'll take like more damage from that, and there's like a poison one essentially like that too. So some weapons have properties like that, but there was nothing like where I felt like it was just this kind of like one very unique thing for this weapon only.
Okay. Did you talked about like the left right hand, like was there any other kind of gear system like outfits or appearance you can change?
You have like 4 defense things. There's like 4 slots for defense. They're like different mechanical parts for him. Like one almost looks like a washer when you get it at the start, but like stuff gets bulked up later on. There's like little mechanical parts. So there's 4 you can choose from. There's also you could start with 2 ring slots, or essentially ring slots. There's another system in the game called the P organ, which gives you passive upgrades you can go through. The
P organ.
Yeah, kind of think like a skill tree, but not, I guess. So it's like you start it, and there's like 4 things you can choose from. And to get the next tier, you have to do at least 2 of those things.
Got it, yeah.
And it goes out through there, but it gets complicated because within these things also you choose separate things for that. It's kind of confusing at first, but once you do it, you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
But is outward appearance, like besides like weapon changes, like physical appearance?
It's your costumes.
So
costumes are completely different outfits
cool.
for him.
I guess I know people like
you
really
could wear like one of the ones
outfits.
early on I got was like a coat. I killed this guy. He was in the demo. Is the donkey guy, and you get like a donkey hat or a donkey like mask you can wear and stuff like that.
Is there any kind of like weight restriction system? Okay, so that's present.
So yeah. There's different types of weight, and from what I understood is if you are heavier weights, stuff like your stamina regens slower. So I always kept it below. I kept it at the lowest weight always because I wanted that stamina regen. I think once you get to like 60% of like your weight limit or something like that, it'll start slowing down.
Okay.
But you can level up stats to like increase that also. So if you want to be able to hold heavier stuff, you can. Which I definitely did. Because, some weapons are heavier. Like, the rapier was pretty light, but when I was using the spears, like, it's a bigger two-handed thing, so you gotta adjust for that. Definitely a lot of cool strength weapons, I think, for Huber. Or I thought about Huber, like a giant axe. I was like, oh, Huber would probably like this. Some cool stuff like that. But yeah, really fun game. I had a good time. I definitely want to play more of it, and I think it's worth... it's so hard because there's so many Souls-likes, and there's so many games coming out nowadays. But I think Liza P is definitely worth making time for.
Yeah, one of the higher end ones, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Especially it's on Game Pass, too. It'll be on Game Pass day 1, so if you're curious about it and you have it, easy to check out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good Game Pass game. Perfect for it. But yeah, I guess that's all I got for Liza P. Cool game.